Hey, welcome to Scale Wars, the 616. I'm Cliff, and this is my reaction or video of talking about the Haslab Ghost Rider Engines of Vengeance fiasco, whatever you want to call it. It's funny to see like all these people talking about this one's being overpriced when on the last one, the His Tank, none of them probably were saying that that was overpriced. And I'm glad that people are noticing that this one is, and that it when the Robbie Ray's human form didn't back, how like the backer started backing out. And then today, they at noon, they announced that even though that didn't make its deadline, you know, the Robbie Ray's human figure, that they were going to go ahead and include the human form head and then the hoodie section so that you can make that Ghost Rider into Robbie Ray's if you wanted. There are people who are mad. They were like, oh, you should still include the human figure. And there are still people like me who are like, no, it's overpriced. We're still not going to back it. But the problem is, you still have shills and scalpers out there. Let's focus just on the shills for a moment. You've got these people who are saying, if it was $250, I would pay it. Those are shills because it's not worth $250 at all. It's barely worth $125 for two figures and the car. If it's just one figure and the car, it's like right at $100. I'm sorry, that thing's not worth more than that. The people who are sitting there trying to argue that it is are all shills. They're all making excuses for Hasbro and overpriced toys. They don't give a shit about us, you know, like the people on this side of it who know that that's overpriced still. Because I've seen the other comments. It's not just me saying it. There's other people who are saying that's a $40 car. You know, the people pointing out that Bratz car, that's a very good example. I was going to kind of point out, this is a 1/18 scale Hummer, right? It looks bigger because he's closer in frame. Let me knock him over. That'd be great. But, this is $20 and comes with, I think, one or two of these BBI or whatever it is, Chapmay or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Knocking everything over. Real professional here. But anyways, it's about $20 and comes with a figure. It's highly detailed. I don't think it's licensed by Hummer because I don't see like an H anywhere on it, but it does have the 7 grills. But it's real detailed. All the doors open up. It doesn't have glass, but you know, this rotates, you know, elevates. The little, this opens up. I can get it open. There's space in there for more gear. You know, there's 4 seats in there. He's got like a little platform he's standing on. These are the core kind of desert looking guys. Sorry about the autofocus. These are rubber tires, or I'm sorry, that's plastic. Yeah, okay, I can see it now right there. But I do have examples of stuff that are rubber. That's $20, right? And you see how big it is compared to him. You know, 6-inch scale Toy Biz Ghost Rider. If this Hummer is only $20 at this size, and it came with figures and accessories and stuff, you can't sit there and tell me that car, which is only gonna be about twice as big as this, I mean total, that car is not going to be worth more than $40, all right? And then those lights they add into it, I mean, like, LED lights are cheap. The wiring for that stuff is cheap. You know, yeah, having someone sit there and wire it up for each car, that might be expensive in terms of, like, production. But the parts, like the pieces and stuff to it, all that is cheap. You mean, like, I don't see how that's adding much to the cost when we can get other 1/12 scale vehicles, you know, which everybody else is making, you know, showing examples of this. But, you know, there are RC cars that are 1/12 scale that have lights and sound. You mean sculpt-wise, they are smoother or, like, glossier looking. Like, here's an example. This is a Toy Biz. This came with Scarlet Witch. But, like, how glossy this is, that's about how, like, the RC cars look. And, you know, Hasbro's Charger or whatever is going to be more like this matte black kind of plastic. But it's just a difference in surface quality on the plastic. It's not... That doesn't make that Charger worth more. Doesn't mean it was more expensive to make it like that. They're trying to argue that the Hasbro Charger is so much more high-end premium adult collectible than those Bratz cars or those RC cars or something like this military Hummer, or even this Toy Biz version of Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch 90s Ghost Rider. Yeah, his little chain. He even came with this, like, he didn't come with this. This is from a more modern wrestling figure. He came with this chain that goes around, you know, and it kind of clips together. It's hard to see because I got this black background. But clips together like that around him, and he can kind of hold either one of these sides, kind of, you know, like he's going to swing it. It's pretty cool, you know, actual metal, right? And then he came with the bike, and this was all just $10. You know, the figure, this, and they had a comic book reissue. And then they even put these wall hanger notches on the bottom of this, where you can do it like going up or down a wall. I've seen someone do this on like one of the foam diodes, and it looked really good. And it's you know, it's got good paint and everything. It's got good sculpt detail. This was in 2003. They were doing this. So for $10, 2003 now, like adjusted for inflation, that's maybe $15. I mean, Hasbro could do this if if Disney's licensing fee wasn't so high, if they weren't, you know, douchebags, Hasbro could easily do this. And if Hasbro wasn't so fucking greedy lately. But Hasbro's greed and Disney's greed is affecting all the other toy companies, because any startup that comes up, they think, you know, they're a no name nothing, you know, no street cred at all, and they're making a derivative product that's derivative mostly of G.I. Joe or Star Wars, and they think that they should get more than Hasbro gets for their figures, and their justification is, oh, we have a low production run, you know, or something like that. We're not a $1 billion company like Hasbro. It's like, yeah, you're never gonna be one either, because you're overpricing toys right out of the gate, you dumbass. I mean, Hasbro didn't, like, those original G.I. Joes weren't fucking expensive. You know what I mean? They were cheap enough that, like, tons of people were getting them. And then, you know, the oil prices started going up. So then they had to, like, reduce the size of figures down, like the Micronauts and the G.I. Joe era. But they act like we can't get this figure for a more reasonable price. Or, like, the Dodge Charger car with the flame effects and 2 Ghost Riders. Well, now it's just 1 Ghost Rider figure. And then Mephisto. That's worth $350. You know, fuck you. No, it's not. The shills are getting so devious that now we got shills and scalpers pretending to be like on this side of the fence, like with people like me who are, you know, we still see that no, even that Sentinel, even that Galactus, even the Hiss Tank, the Razor Crest, and the Barge, even Unicron, they were all overpriced. Since 2012 on Rebel Scum, I've been in the forums talking about the pricing is getting out of control. People were ripping into me then about like, man, if a $1 price increase is gonna break the bank, you know, you need to get out of collecting. Like that sort of, you know, you're just broke. You know, that sort of talk, the shills and scalpers. It's not just $1 that I'm having to pay extra. It's $1 per figure times however many figures, and if you're troop building stormtroopers and all kinds of stuff, you know, and then there's taxes on those, and then if you're ordering it online, shipping, these people would just go, yeah, you're just broke, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to pretend like now they're all trying to point out this thing with Ghost Rider, like, oh yeah, it's overpriced, man. And they'll be telling you like, you know, you should really think about what, you know, about this deal or if it's worth it or not. But they're all still going to tell you at the end of everything they're saying about, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your money. If you want it, cool. They're all doing that at the end. Those are shills pretending to be regular people. You mean like people who don't shill for Hasbro or don't scalp toys on the internet. You know, resellers or whatever they want, fucking flippers is what they like to call themselves. And it's like, bitch, you're not a fucking flipper. The only people who flip action figures are people who restore them, you know, again, like Retro Blasting or Form BX257 did some, well, he didn't really do restoration, but he did kind of like show you how to repair some things. And that would be flipping something. I mean, if you buy an action figure new, don't open it, keep it in the package, and wait until it goes out of production and then sell it for a higher price on the internet, or, you know, even in person to someone, you're a scalper. That's scalping. So yeah, they're getting real devious. And they're doing, I can't remember what you call, it might be controlled opposition, but people who are on the other side of what you're trying to do, who are going to hinder you or going to, you know, they're going to cause problems for you in a way, you're going to try to act like you're one of them. There's a lot of them that they're saying exactly what we want to hear, but really, they're not there for us. They're not on our side. And there was one recently that I saw where they were saying everything you want to hear, but at the end of just about everything they're saying the stuff like, oh, but I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. Oh, you do you, and that's cool. If you really want this thing, yeah, that's cool. That's your choice. But you should just think about your money, kind of thing. And they're playing both sides. The equivalent of in the war or whatever, selling arms to both sides. That's what these people are doing. What's really bothering me is, okay, I make comments on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and they're saying exactly like things I was saying in comment sections, and they're saying it like it's their own opinion, but then they twist it kind of in a way where they're almost saying back to me, stop saying that. That might sound crazy to some people because like I'm not like showing you proof of this or, you know, like naming names or anything. I'm leaving it ambiguous, but it's just weird because I noticed it and I was like, oh, that's kind of it's kind of scary in a way, because it's like there's this opposition out there that's going to try to trick people into still funding this kind of crap. Because like these people, they're, you know, like I said, now they're saying something about the Ghost Rider issue, but they didn't say shit about the His Tank. They didn't say shit about the Sentinel or the Galactus, or, you know, I mean, they were silent, all that kind of stuff. They were shilling hard for that shit. But now, now that a large enough group of people are saying this is, you know, this is wrong or this is overpriced, now they'll speak up. Because these people ride the wave, you know, they go with the flow of things, they follow the trends, and they will say whatever they have to say to gain followers, to get likes. They're all gimmicky and flashy. You mean like you can tell by how much effort they put into their YouTube videos. They're trying to say we're adults throwing tantrums. That's funny, because whenever we say a toy's overpriced, one of them will always say we're just broke. I mean, they're trying to say we're throwing the tantrum when we're adults saying a toy is overpriced, and they're getting mad enough about it that they're attacking us personally. We're not saying anything about them. Like, I didn't say, like, I would say a name specifically, but like, I don't want to call anybody out. But I was going to say, like, I didn't say anything specifically to any of those shills about, like, you're a loser for buying this, or anything like that. I didn't attack any of them personally. I might have generalized about shills, and they felt triggered by it, that kind of thing, and then they come at you. But I was saying something to Hasbro about the toy is overpriced. You need to, you know, you need to be trying to, you know, if you only want barely anybody to have this and to encourage shills and scalpers, keep doing what you're doing, right? Well, then they attack you. You're just broke. You're just mad that you afford it. If you can't afford it, just say you can't afford it. All that kind of bullshit. They're trying to peer pressure us into buying this thing, which is odd, because it's like, if you really want us to buy this thing, you should stop talking shit to us. You should suck up to us so hard about, man, I really want to get this thing. Is there any way I can convince you? Like, how can I get you? I mean, like, they should be really working the shaft trying to get us to, you know, buy this thing, and they're not, right? Hasbro's not even, it took Hasbro like 2 days. I know they don't really do stuff on the weekend. They did make a post on Sunday that was unrelated, but it took them a couple of days to say or to do anything, right? And they look ridiculous because they're not reading the room as everyone's telling them to do. We all want the price reduced. You know, we're not going to sit there and pay $350 for this car and a figure. You got these shills sitting there trying to tell you they're not going to lower the price. Nothing, that's out of your control. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. That kind of shit. And it's like they're trying to psych you out. They're trying to shut you up. You mean get you to just go away? And it's like, no, man, we're going to sit there and keep saying it. We're gonna sit there, and every time there's a shill in those comments, we're gonna say something to you guys about you're getting mad at adults saying a toy is overpriced. That's what kids do. That's what children do. They get mad when mommy or daddy tells them, no, we're not buying that toy, it costs too much. The little kid freaks out and like, nah, that toy's totally the right price. That's a good price. You're just broke. Reasonably, for Mephisto, the 2 figures, and the car, $125. They should set a limit where all Haslab projects are the same price, like $125 or $150, like a limit where you're not just trying to make, you know, some huge thing every time. Like the barge was nice, but barely anybody has it. Why do that? Why not make something that everybody can afford to get? Something that we all can enjoy. Like how Mattel, I'm kind of holding a sword, but Mattel's Jurassic Park 6-inch figures are still $20. You mean, and they got basically the same articulation as the Marvel Legends. You know, you could argue about the sculpt detail versus, well, that's a Toy Biz one, but you can argue the sculpt detail against, oh, here we go. You know, Marvel Legends, like look at that Sam Jackson sculpt versus that one, right? This is slightly better, but it's not like just times better than this. You know, it still looks like Sam Jackson on both. This right here is really all we need. Like, if they should get Mattel to make Marvel Legends, when you think about it. You'd probably get them for a reasonable price. Well, I mean, there are also issues with the car itself, right? You can't open up the hood and have him working on the engine, yet he comes with a couple of tools. I mean, they're not really under the engine, under the hood kind of tools. You're more like changing a tire kind of stuff. I don't know why they would think that they shouldn't have the hood open up where you could look down in there and see the engine. I get that they're probably going to have the electronics in there, like the batteries or something in there, but you would think that you would want to be able to show the hood open and like the hood flamed up or something, or I mean the hood, the engine. But mainly just to be able to like see the engine, just where you can have his hands in there like he's working on it. You know, people who buy it, or if it does fun and they get it, there's going to be people out there to modify the hood to open up like that. You mean they're going to want to like 3D print an engine or something to go in there, or you mean like they're going to want to fix that issue. People pointed out that it should have RC function for the price, and they're absolutely right, because we can show you all kinds of examples of like $25 1/12 scale RC cars that sometimes even have lights and sound. If that can be done, you can say it's mass produced. Well, this Haslab is mass produced too if it's got 9,000 backers. That's the definition of mass production. I mean, not 9,000, but like the thousands of them are being made. That is mass production. They obviously, the Chinese companies or whatever, they're making those cheap RC cars or whatever, they're probably making like millions of those, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's millions, but the point is that, Hasbro could do that. They have the lights in there, but it should have sounds. If it's going to have lights, if it's already electronic, it should have sounds, and it should be RC. There's no reason for it not to be. It's big enough that it could be RC. Someone pointed out the thing about, I think it was the Bratz car has it, like a Bluetooth where you can do your music through the car, like it's like they're listening to the radio. That makes sense too. And it's like, make the car worth it. Make the car interesting enough that it's more than just, something that sits on your shelf. Make it playable. The choice to do Robbie Ray's Ghost Rider for 50th anniversary for a Haslab, that was a bad choice in the first place. They shouldn't have tied it to the 50th anniversary of Ghost Rider if they were going to do Robbie Ray's as a Haslab project. He's not popular enough. It should be Johnny Blaze if you're doing 50th anniversary, because that's the original Ghost Rider. Danny Ketch here or whatever, eventually do him too, but it would have been cooler if they'd have done, like for $150, a Haslab project where you get this version of Ghost Rider, right? Where they're maybe even trying to make it look like this Toy Biz release, like the packaging. But not like make the toy like this, but they could make it where it had swap out wheels that had this as like an homage to this style. They didn't think like that, but it would also come with like Johnny Blaze and his motorcycle. And really, if you're really being honest, for $150, it should be 3 riders: Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, and then Slade or whatever with the horse. A rider with a vehicle for $50 each, essentially. And that horse, they'd make that. And if they do the horse the right way, they could get reuse out of the horse. Same thing with Johnny Blaze's motorcycle. They could just reuse that Punisher motorcycle for that, if that's not already a reuse of the older Johnny Blaze or Ghost Rider figure. I mean, hell, they should be thinking about that with that car too. This shouldn't be a Haslab. That should be just the Ghost Rider Robbie Ray's with the car as a 2-pack. I would probably make that $60. $40 for the car, $20 for the figure. And all those flame effects too. I mean, I would throw those in too, because that's really nothing. They act like that's a lot of money for that, but that's really nothing. The amount of plastic, the amount of paint on it, barely anything. And then the most expensive thing about that is going to be its mold, getting that made. The Mephisto figure is interesting. They didn't even show if he has like a throne or anything, so it's just Mephisto. And they didn't show him with like swap out hands or a staff or anything, so it's like, well, what else does he have? I mean, so what if he's 7 inches tall? That's 1 inch taller than a regular figure. That doesn't make him massive or anything. He really shouldn't cost more than Ghost Rider or like a standard release, because I've got figures in the regular line like The Thing, from Fantastic Four. He was $20. Thing was the same price as all the other figures, even though he's like massive. He's like easily twice as much plastic in him as the other figures. Hell, he's probably like 3 Invisible Women in terms of plastic. Don't sit there and tell me that Mephisto can't also be $20. They also did, it wasn't the comic book version Thanos, but it was the one right before they did that. It was previously a Build-A-Figure, and then they broke it up, but he's slightly more comic book accurate version of Thanos. That was $20 exclusive to Walmart, and he's about 7 inches. You can't sit there and argue Mephisto there was worth so much more when they've already shown you that, no, they'll sell you a big figure for that price. Oddly enough, though, they just released, or someone posted pictures of a Mojo figure separated from the 3-pack and sold as a single thing for $42, supposedly. That, though, seems reasonably priced to me, and it seems kind of like a weird move for them to make. I'm still pissed off that Mojo wasn't made into a Build-A-Figure. Same thing with Professor X. That should have been a Build-A-Figure. What was the other one? MODOK should have been a Build-A-Figure. The Retro Apocalypse, Retro Spider-Man Wave Rhino, that should have been a Build-A-Figure. The Retro Spider-Man Wave Kingpin definitely should have been a Build-A-Figure. And then like for the Fantastic Four Retro Wave, they could have done Galactus as a Build-A-Figure for that. There were 6 figures in that wave. Each one of them could have come with a part for a Galactus figure. I mean, really, seriously, why would I want you know, that big of an action figure just standing around in my toy collection, you know, it really made no sense for them to do Galactus like that. I mean, they should have done like the Toy Biz one where it's much more reasonably sized. It's not just like a huge, you know, like everybody's just going to be looking over at it and then instantly be making sex doll jokes about, oh, there's your blow up doll. It just doesn't look right for for you to have that large of a doll, you know, in your collection. The Sentinel, I wouldn't feel so bad about just because, yeah, I want the Sentinel to be big enough that he can grab the figure by the waist kind of thing, but it really didn't have to be that big. It definitely is overpriced. You mean like $400 for, you know, just because he's a big action figure? I still don't see what was $400 about that. Last thing I wanted to say was there's people who they're trying to tell you not to tell other people what to think. You know, don't tell other people how to spend their money kind of thing. And let's dispel that bullshit right here. The way you spend your money affects other people. All right? Whether you like it or not, that's true. So don't sit there and tell me that I can't tell you you're spending too much on this toy, or that this toy is overpriced, or that you shouldn't spend too much on this, or you're shilling for them for paying, whatever I'm going to say to you about it. Don't get pissed about that when you're throwing your money so easily at something, driving the prices up. You're affecting me in my hobby. Stop all this crap about telling other people, don't tell them what to think. You don't tell them what to think, since you don't think you should tell people what to think. Why don't you shut the fuck up telling other people what to think, if that's what you feel? I'm okay with people telling me what to think. They do it all the fucking time. I might tell other people what to think on certain things. Don't get mad at me for that. I guess because I'm saying don't get mad at me, there will be people to nitpick that and go, oh, well, because you said don't get mad at me for this, then don't get mad at me. Like all that kind of endless argument, you know, sea lioning, trolling kind of bullshit. But mainly, yeah, these people, they're going to try to just watch out for these shills. They're getting devious. They're trying to pretend like they're not shills. Some of the ones that they shill the hardest, right? They were shilling on day one for this. Well, I'm pointing at this one for the Ghost Rider, you know, Dodge Charger Robbie Ray's figure. They were shilling for it at first, saying, if it's not for you, it's not for you. They've already changed their tune, though, now that enough people have said this thing is overpriced. They see that the trend is, ooh, I can't sit there and shill for this. They'll call me a shill. I gotta, you know, that's damage control. They're nipping it in the bud, co-opting a movement. I know I've said this stuff over and over again or ranted about it, but that's what's going on. Or, you know, we got to be careful. We got to worry about these kind of people, or we got to be aware of them doing this. You know, they're sly. They're gonna try to connive and whatever they can do to raise their little algorithm points, get their little likes and views. Really, if you actually give a shit about other people, you shouldn't be doing this for that reason. You should be doing it for the other, like for the other person to, you know, get that, like, yeah, if we all got together, we could lower the prices. Kids will eventually be playing with these action figures again, and that's a good thing. That's how it should be. That way, the next generation of collectors is going to be out there, and then they're going to have like their own toy lines that are different, hopefully, from G.I. Joe, Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek. You know, I mean, like they'll have their new thing. You know, I thought like I think it was Ben 10 or whatever, I thought that was going to become something kind of big for them. It doesn't really seem like it has. You know, like they had Beyblades and fucking fidget spinner and the little tactile squishy like sand and gook kind of bullshit. A lot of turd related stuff, and then Funko Pops. Like, oh, I fucking hate Funko Pops. I think Lego's the only like, it's like universal for all the ages. They're trying to pretend like they're on our side right now. But on the next Haslab, which will be overpriced, they'll be sitting there telling you that one's worth it. Robbie Ray's ones wasn't. But like the His Tank though, they were telling you that was worth it. And then they're the kind of people that will tell you that, well, the market will determine, the fans will determine whether or not it's worth it. If it funds, oh, it must mean it's worth it. No. Just because the Razor Crest had 28,000 backers doesn't mean it wasn't overpriced. It means there's 28,000 desperate people out there. I'm included as one of them because I bought one of the Razor Crests. But it's like a regret kind of thing of, man, I wish I didn't spend that much on it because it's definitely not worth it. I mean, it looked a whole lot better in the pictures than when you get it in hand in terms of it didn't look like it was going to weigh 80 pounds. Or I mean, it's not actually 80 pounds, but the thing weighs so much, you can't really play with it. You know what I mean? It sucks as a toy, you know, and it's fragile. It can't sit on its landing gear. The front landing gear is fine, the way they designed it, But the back two landing gear, they are slowly going to break over time. If you leave it on its landing gear, it's going to slowly break. And then mine, like when I first got it, like taking it out of the package or whatever, the little side panels that cover up one of the landing gear snapped off just by setting the ship down on the flat base of its bottom without the landing gear on, just setting it down. The weight of the back section cracked off the hinge on one side. You mean like they designed that thing poorly in terms of like quality or durability, I mean. But anyways, the shills, they're going to sit there and try to tell you, they're going to act like they're on our side right now for this thing because they see it's popular to do so. Then when the winds of time change and they're going to shift over to this next Haslab or whatever that will be overpriced, because I don't think Hasbro is going to learn. There's people still shilling for them in their comments on the recent post about the Robbie Reyes thing. They're still sitting there acting like, man, they're not going to lower the price. Man, you know, they're still going to charge what they're going to charge. They're just trying to psych you out into shutting up. This stuff gets me worked up because a lot of these people are really deceptive and they're fucking lying like crazy. They're so full of shit. I'm tired of all these fake ass people on YouTube who are pretending to be on our side of things. You mean, but they're sitting there trying to convince us to buy these overpriced toys. They're sitting there trying to justify the prices of, like, I'm trying to think of something like other than the Marvel Legends, like Lego sets. There's a recent castle Lego set that's like $400. Man, $400 for a Lego castle? Nah, that ain't worth it, dude. That's fucking overpriced. You know, I get that Lego's an import brand. Sure. I get that they're popular. Sure. But the fact that they're so popular that they know everybody wants their product means that they could make enough of them that the price could come down. But they won't, because they're like Games Workshop. You know, they're greedy ass people. You know, same thing with Hasbro. They're all getting so fucking greedy. They want to take advantage of us even more. And they come up with all the excuses to take advantage of us. And then these shill kind of people make excuses for them all the time. These shills will sit there and call Hasbro out, but then shill for Action Force, which is also overpriced. Or at least currently overpriced. Hopefully that goes down. They'll shill for, Joy Toy or Hiya Toys. They'll shill for them. But they'll call out Hasbro for this. I'm tired of that kind of fakeness. Fucking tired of these people doing that. I'm especially tired of these people. It's like they read my comments on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. They see me commenting there, and they almost like shape their tactic or their narrative around what I was saying. They use it to their advantage somehow, where they can co-opt what I'm saying. They can say it makes sense what I'm saying about the price or it being overpriced. They can say it too, but then they can also like inject their little propaganda of why the next thing isn't overpriced or how that thing is worth it. Like the Sentinel was worth it or Galactus was worth it. You know, the His tank was worth it. No, that's a shill. And the people who are sitting there telling you, don't try to tell other people what to think about the, you know, mainly they're talking about these toy prices. One kind of influential kind of guy or influencer kind of guy who's all up ACBA's ass, he was trying to say that there's no point in arguing about something so trivial. You know, like this price on this toy. And say, oh yeah, outside of this toy collecting thing, if you're talking about like the world going on right now, yeah, toy collecting is trivial compared to all that. But if we're talking about within our community, within our collecting or hobby or whatever, or this product that we buy, and we're customers of this company, you know, we're consumers, we have every reason, every right, we should be complaining about things. So when he sits there and tries to say, oh, it's so trivial or that we're throwing tantrums, he's a fucking shill. That's why he's doing that. He wants you to shut up about it because he really wants to get that Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider toy, and he doesn't care. He's addicted. He doesn't care that he's going to pay $350 for it. Plus, he's a fucking scalper. He always tries to say he's just flipping toys, but really, dude's a fucking scalper. You know he's going to buy an extra one. He's going to be selling that on eBay trying to make some money off of it. I remember I had pretty much all of these Toy Biz Marvel Legends. When I went to go sell them on eBay, I sold them for their retail price. They were all out of the package, sure, but they all had all their parts still. And I even threw in a couple of figures that were like broken figures for parts fodder. Just I had it listed in there like, hey, these two, they're not factored into the price, but they're just there for parts fodder, right? It was, I can't remember how many figures, but it was, I think $425 is what I made, right? Sold them all just at their retail price of $10 each. They all even had their comic books with them. And that was 2008 or 2009-ish, right? Because I was getting out of 6-inch scale and I went into 12-inch scale for a time. I've already gotten out of 12-inch scale and I'm back down into like basically 4-inch and 6-inch again. And then McFarlane's, oh, they're about to get me into 7 scale. But my point is that, you know, when I sold them off, I wasn't trying to make like a profit or anything. I wasn't trying to screw anybody over. I was just trying to sell them to someone who actually wanted them. And I sold them as a lot. So I kind of figured whoever ended up buying them was going to end up selling them individually. I don't know that for a fact, but, you know, that's probably what they ended up doing. And maybe they made a profit. They could have scalped them all, right? What I hope they did was they needed all those figures for their collection and they kept them. That'd be awesome to know. Well, so I don't really know what else I can say or add to this, and then it's already really kind of a rant, and then I keep kind of going off on these shills, and I don't know. I don't really know what else I can add other than that. I got there's these weird shill kind of people who are doing this double talk, or, you know, this kind of, they're playing this game with us, you know, trying to just ride the wave of trendiness. So we got to watch out for them. We definitely shouldn't back this thing. I noticed, like, I've been taking pictures, screen caps of the number as it went up on the night of the 23rd, at least, or, you know, leading up to the 23rd, watching the number count. And I've still been doing it since, because I watched it go down after the Robbie Reyes thing. But now with their announcement today, it started to go back up, but it's going up real slow, really so far, as of the recording of this video. So, you know, there are these shills who are convincing other people, hey, this is worth it. There's going to be some people that they're going to still fund it. If they manage to get this thing to 9,000 backers, though, it's not good for us, right? It's going to be another step towards the overpricing issue. You know, the people on this side of the argument who are against the shills, the scalpers, against the overpricing, we need this thing to fail, you know, so that Hasbro will see that, no, that shit's not going to fly. But what we really need is change at Hasbro, where they need to reduce their prices. They have to. It's going to be the only way that they're going to sustain, you know, Marvel Legends as like a thing. If they don't, what they'll do is they'll have such a small audience that barely anybody will know about it. It'll be like Maddie Collector. Barely anybody is a part of all that. You know what I mean? They have enough people to sell some things, sure. You know, to get some toys made, sure, no doubt. But barely anybody has those things, and barely anybody talks about those things, because barely anybody knows about those things. Marvel is a huge, you know, entertainment thing. Everybody knows who Spider-Man is. Everybody knows who Iron Man is, or the Hulk. You know, when I say everybody, I'm talking about like the younger generation kind of people. I mean, those names are household names. People know who Ghost Rider is. People know who these other characters are. We need to get Hasbro to understand that they need to just take the risks more. They need to do their distribution better, or like they need their game plan changed a little, where, yeah, you're not going to sell 1 million of these figures in a month, you know, or within 6 months. You know, you got to, you know, pace it out. And then maybe like how they did the Archive series for Black Series, you probably need something like that for Marvel, but not where you just keep upping the price on it. You need to make sure that stays the same price, because you're reusing an old mold. You're just reissuing a figure that you've already sold at a lower price. It makes sense that if you're making a brand new sculpt, that brand new mold for the new figure might be a little bit, you know, you might have to charge more for that to pay that one, right? But anything that you're reusing parts off of, you know, like the Bucky Cap mold or whatever, man, you don't need to be charging all this extra money and stuff. Moon Knight here is what, from 2020, and he's still using like parts from like 2015. And then even the G.I. Joe classified figures, which I'm okay with parts reuse. I'm all for it if we're saving the money too, you know, the customer. Anyways, I'm going off on all that now. Let me end this, because I was trying to make this like a really short video this time, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to edit all this down. And hopefully I can condense it down a little better. I really hope that if you're on the fence on funding the Haslab Engines of Vengeance, I really hope that you decide not to. And then anybody who has already backed it, which, you know, you're just waiting to pay for it, you haven't paid for it yet. Anybody who's already backed it, who's kind of on the fence, I hope you decide to back out of it. If you really think about it, it's the smartest thing for us to do. It might take longer to get that version of Ghost Rider like you want, you know, to get that 1/12 scale car from them, but it'll be worth it. You know, for that same price, man, you can buy you a fleet of 1/12 scale RC cars off of Amazon right now. And you'll have them like next week. I mean, you won't have to wait till next year for them. Look on eBay for this figure if you want a Ghost Rider. Ooh, especially with this bike. You know. Oh, let's brighten it up in there a little. I mean, he's still good. And then, you know, you could probably make a custom chain if you don't really like that. Admittedly, the shroud on this isn't as big as I'd like it. You know, it should be a little bit bigger. They probably did kind of underscale the bike just slightly, you know, when you think about it. But still, for $10, man. This was $10 in 2003. I mean, and then look at that. Look at that fucking... He still looks better than any Hasbro Ghost Rider that they've done. Like, that's something we should do for a second before we go. Let's see if we can... I don't know how close I can get on him. Yeah. That's the spirit of vengeance right there. He's even got, like, these little red dot eyes in there, which you probably can't see on this camera like that, but you can kind of see it right there. He doesn't have a hinged jaw. It doesn't open. It could have been. That would have been great if it was. But look at this texture on him. Getting muddled. The other thing about this figure versus the Hasbro ones, this is hand sculpted. So this texture on here was stippled on. When the person sculpted this, they had to sculpt both the right side and the left side. And they had to match the right hand to the left hand by eye. The right bicep to the left bicep by eye. The same thing with the shoulder. They had to sculpt by hand the articulation. Like they sculpt a model and then they cut it essentially and then they start sculpting in their articulation. His butterfly shoulder there is kind of a little awkward, you know, the way it comes out like this. This is not really the nicest looking thing, right? But, you know, Hasbro is benefiting from Toy Biz's design, development, you know, all their, what would you call it? Research, trial and error kind of stuff. But anyways, this is, again, all hand sculpted. So all the details on it, done by eye. Let's see if I can get him to stand. Well, bringing in like a Marvel Legends though, when they sculpted this was sculpted digitally. So they sculpt one whole side of it essentially, and while they're sculpting that side, I hate this fucking autofocus, or autolay. But once they sculpted this whole one side, the other side was sculpted automatically using mirror. All right, meaning half the time, right? It was already done digitally, so it was a lot easier to sculpt than a physical sculpting medium. And then any kind of, like, he doesn't have any textures on him, but let's see. Here's a Cobra Viper, right? This texture that's on the leg right here, which I don't know if I can... Okay, there you go. The texture that's on the leg. That was digitally done. An algorithm applies the texture across the model. They kind of shape it up where they don't want it on this red part, but like, you know, they get it where, you know, lined up and everything. And then just mirror that part to the other side. But that's how they do that. Digital. So that's a whole lot easier to do. Don't piss down my back, tell me it's rain, and act like this was so much easier to do. And this was only $10, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Something else too about, if they're going to do a Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, what they need to do is do one where all the spikes are removable, right? And then you just pop the head off, like how they did this on a double ball joint. Making sure the head just pops off and you put on a human neck with a human head double ball jointed. I mean, and then you can have a swap out in between head too. But you know, where this kind of just removes off, you know, these spikes come off, or like maybe this thing slips off and you put another one back on, or when this one slips off, there's the one without the spikes underneath, that sort of thing. Sure, you only need the one figure with swap out parts and then the bike. And then maybe like a flame effect that attaches to the chain, that sort of thing. And then the bike, and then the bike, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it looks like when the flames aren't on. Because I'm not sure, I don't remember if he always changed in and out of form or not. He might have been always like this. At least on the Fantastic Four cartoon, he was still he was like always in this form, I think. Anyways, I don't know if the wheels, yeah, they do look normal. So yeah, you'd make a thing that clips onto the wheel, kind of, to get this effect. I don't know, going off on a weird kind of tangent. Here, let's make them stand all funky. That's why anybody who tries to show you how much better Hasbro is than Toy Biz, to always like articulate and pose a You mean like they'll do a Toy Biz figure wrong and have them all standing all gangly like this? You mean? If he'll stand up. He's not going to stand up, man. He's going to fall over. But, you know, they'll have him standing all gangly. And then they'll have like a Marvel Legends standing right next to him looking all like badass and shit. And it's like, come on, you didn't even try to pose. You didn't even try to pose homeboy right. Guilty. Well. Let's see. Oh, yeah, let's put this back on. Oh, he doesn't have the pointing finger on that one, the trigger finger. I was going to have him point at you like, Ghost Rider wants you to not fund this project. I don't know. I'm getting kind of goofy about it. Well, anyways, okay, so that's it. That's all I'm going to say about this. I hope you laughed at least a little. And I hope you really think about it if you're on the fence. I really hope you don't fund this thing. If you fund this, you're either an addicted person, like you're addicted to toys, and that you got a problem. You need to get that checked out. I don't care what your justification or you tell me not to tell you what to do. I don't fucking care. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to sit there and point it out. Because if someone gives a shit about you, that's what they're going to do. Your friend, if he's really your friend, is going to point out you got a booger right there if he's your friend. If he's not your friend, he's going to let you walk around all day with that booger on your face. That's the difference between someone who actually gives a shit and someone who doesn't give a shit. Someone should be telling you, you've got a problem. You're so addicted to collecting toys that you're willing to throw a car payment at a toy that should probably be $100. And then if you're not addicted and you're still backing it, you're a shill or a scalper. If you're one of those three things, the addict is the only one I feel sorry for. The shills and the scalpers are fucking assholes. Okay, for real, I'm ending this video. Thank you for watching. I'm Cliff from Scale Wars. This has been the 616, talking about the Ghost Rider Haslab issues. Hope you guys don't support shills and scalpers. Let's stop these people from ruining the toy hobby for everybody. And you know, have a good day. Hey, welcome to Scale Wars, the 616, the post-credit scene. Anyways, I just wanted to add, because of the whole Goblin Queen announcement, I wanted to add on this little bit at the end. They announced, okay, Goblin Queen, which I showed images earlier, but they also announced that there's a possible third figure, which people speculate will be Blackheart or maybe Zarathos or... which I think is the Spirit of Vengeance itself. Carter Slade, Danny Ketch, who knows? So I wanted to mention, you know, some people were talking about the whole underboob situation with Goblin Queen. I don't know why they're so afraid to do the underboob for a Haslab when they did a fully nude figure at retail with Mystique. Come on, that's nude, right? I don't know if she'll stand. You could argue that White Rabbit is a Playboy bunny. She's got a lot of skin exposed, you know. I don't know if I can get her to stand. They'll probably start knocking them over. Beetle is essentially a stripper. I mean, come on. Hopefully she'll stand. Retro Storm. She's got side hips. I don't know what you'd call that. I mean, it's not underboob, but, you know, I mean, come on. That's a lot of skin showing. So, I don't know where I can get her in there, where she won't fall over. Yeah. Yeah, because of those feet, it's really hard to just off the side, but I'm not going to do that. Tigra? I mean, come on. That's... You can do that at retail. Oops. You can do Tiger at retail. But, you know, under boob Haslab, yeah, you can't do that, huh? Okay, sure. And then when you think about it, even just like a fully clothed figure like this is a nude female, ultimately. So it's like, you know, I'm sorry. You're not showing nipples and stuff on the women, so, I mean, you made this one look like Adam West Batman in the face, kind of. But, you know, you're not afraid to do cleavage. I mean, Misty Knight. Oh, you can show my black titties, huh? No. That sort of thing, maybe. Here's a good example of a female figure they did that makes you kind of wonder about the whole underboob thing. Dana Barrett from Ghostbusters. Pull her apart. I mean, you're not intended to do this, but, you know, still, this isn't sculpted on. That's just paint. So that is literally a nude figure under there. Let's put her to the side. And just, you know, because some people would say something about it. They didn't mind putting nipples on Namor or Shang-Chi, right? Because, you know, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, look at Namor. He is he has a lot of skin. You damn right. But my point is, it really made no sense for them to say anything about, like, you know, anybody making the justification for the reason why Goblin Queen doesn't have underboob. It's like, no, you've already done this figure. You have, like, no explanation on doing that. Yeah, I wanted to tack that on at the end. And I think it was funny that, like, she was only, like, 1,000 more backers to get her. So, like, from the 9,000 initial backing, you just had to get to, like, 10,000, I think. But then Mephisto, it's still, I think, 12,000. And then whoever the third one would be, I don't know what, maybe that would be 11,000. Who knows? It's kind of funny how, like, every step of the way, like, they had a video at New York Comic Con, I think, and, like, the two Hasbro employees are trying to, like, talk to this chick who's, like, the hype kind of chick, or she's, like, the DJ kind of, she's, like, the little anchor or the host. But, like, they're trying to talk it up, like, hype the Engine of Vengeance up. It was funny, like, they were saying, like, this kind of vehicle has never been offered before at this scale. It's like, oh, come on, there's been tons of proof showing you that that's bullshit. There were other things that they were saying that, like, were inconsistent or whatever, or, like, didn't add up, or, like, you could easily refute. One of the things they said was people were talking about the size of the car, like, if that were there at New York Comic Con, saw it in hand essentially, or like in person, and noted how that it was bigger than they expected, kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, no, I can still see it right there in front of you. I can still judge scale with my eye perfectly, because I own enough Marvel Legends figures. I know about the rough size of that figure. I can tell, dumbass. You know, like, stop sitting there talking to me like I don't collect 100 of these things, you know, or like I don't have enough of them to know. I mean, and they talk about premium quality and all this kind of stuff. Again, I own enough Hasbro products to know that that's bullshit, that they're not premium, that they're cheap as fuck, that, you mean, they sit there and try to pass it off like it's a premium high-end adult collectible when no, the fuck it isn't. The only reason why you would even be able to say that is the price you're charging. That's it. Literally just it being a high price is the only thing that makes it premium. It's funny watching this thing go up and down. It's been mostly going down on the count. It's like down, I think, at 57%, 56%, something like that. They just don't understand their overpricing, or at least maybe they do understand. Maybe for some reason the people who are making the toys that we're seeing on the camera, you know, like Emily and all them, it's out of their control kind of thing. And they have every incentive to, like, basically have, like, bot accounts or something like that talking shit to you, telling you you're just poor and broke and all that kind of bullshit, trying to psych you out, or trying to, like, peer pressure you into buying it, trying to make you have the fear of missing out, the FOMO, as they're trying to, like, pass around. On all their live streams I've been watching, it's like you see in the comments in the chat and in the, like, the comment section, people are telling them you're overpriced. You know, stop having these people, you know, hype up this thing like I'm stupid. You know, stop talking to me like this. They have people telling them a bunch of times, hey, this path you've gone down ain't working for most of us. You're shrinking your audience base further and further and further, and they're just not listening to that. It's like they think they can charge $50 for a regular figure like those NBA figures. Who knows how much those football figures are going to be? They'll probably be $75 because they're even more complex and they got a helmet and And think about how dumb it was for those NBA figures to not have a build-a-court, And then like for this Indiana Jones thing, a build-a accessory, that's so fucking lame. It should be a build-a-dio, and it should be that Staff of Ra scene where the light goes through the staff and hits that little miniature city. It should be that scene, right? Just that would be better than just the what is it called? It's the thing that holds the Ten Commandments or something, or the Torah. I can't even think of it. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Don't look into the box, whatever the thing is called. I mean, they are fucking up left and right. Even those Indiana Jones figures just look like the ones they did in 2008 or 9. It looks like those same figures, just like scaled up to me. Like just looking at the articulation, the style that they went with. They didn't show the Indiana Jones with the hat off. And it's like, ooh, that's not good. Why wouldn't you show that? That'd be one of the first things I'd want to show. And then why are you making an Indiana Jones at that scale that doesn't have swap out arms to not have the jacket on, and then swap out hands that have the gloved hands? Oh, that's right, because you're going to make different versions of him in slightly different outfits. Mega Tie, Mega Tor, Mega T, Mega 2, like Dana Carvey said. You're going to sit there and do that shit to us because fuck us, right? You don't fucking care about us. You don't fucking give a shit about that your customers are buying a product from you, that you're a business selling a product to a regular customer base that collects a product from you. And you're going to just piss all over us and just think, oh yeah, fuck them. I mean, this is ridiculous. Hasbro, I mean, you got to change. I hope this thing doesn't fund, like the Ghost Rider Engine of Vengeance. I hope it fails. But I hope you continue to fail on these overpriced Haslab projects. It sucks that, you're able to sucker people into these things like the Razor Crest, Unicron, the Sentinel, Galactus, etc. The Sky Striker is the only one that I can look at and go, that's the only one I don't feel like is too bad of a price. But waiting until, spring of 2023 for it, and I've already paid you last year for it, that's fucked up. That's fucked up to do to your customers. You mean you could sit there and go, oh, well, we're not holding a gun to your head and all. It's like, yeah, but you're never going to make it normally. It's never going to be in a Walmart where I can just go to Walmart and get it. Even though we fund these projects and you get these molds for these things, and for some reason it's a one-time only thing. We're never going to make another sail barge for some reason. Why the fuck not? You have the mold for it. What's the mold doing? Just sitting there somewhere in China? You mean it makes no fucking sense for them to not sit there and every so often go, hey, we want to see how many people who would be interested in getting a sail barge. And then letting that thing go up to 6,000, which was the original backing number. Or if they need it to be 9,000, maybe let's see if it goes up to 9,000. But charging $500 for it? Yeah, that's the only problem though. No one wants to fucking pay $500 for something that's 4 feet long. You mean it's a big giant toy? Where are you going to put it in your house? You mean they don't think about how you're going to make me pay that much money for this thing that is going to be so hard to reorganize or room around. Same thing with with the Sentinel and the Galactus. At least they can stand in a corner somewhere, but even that, it looks so fucking weird having them just standing there. It's not the same as you have a whole group of action figures sitting on a shelf. That makes more sense. It's a smaller thing condensed onto a single shelf, and each shelf is its own thing. But this giant action figure that looks like a person just standing over there in your room, they all look like little people. But I mean, when they're smaller, it's not as weird. But when they're 4 feet tall, it gets kind of weird. Anyways, I'm done ranting about this because I was tagging this on at the end of the video. I just thought it was funny, the whole thing with Goblin Queen. And it would be funny if before I'm even done editing it, they announced the third one, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta add that guy in. Or whoever it is. It might be the female Ghost Rider from, what was she? I think she was Norse or something like that, a Viking. Can't remember what female Ghost Rider was, but watch, they'll do that. Well, so, again, this is Cliff from Scale Wars, the 616, talking about the Haslab Ghost Rider Engine of Vengeance fiasco. See you guys later.